So I read something stupid today, very stupid, that we have a government that wants to ban visiting days for high school students. So this is the long and short of the story, that the Cabinet Secretary for Education recently announced, Amina Mohammed, recently announced that they're working with different, parents associations in high school, headmasters association, to make sure that students are not visited during this term, and the premise of that is to avoid cheating cases. Now, I have a lot of things that I believe are fundamentally wrong with that entire thought process. Number one, the fact that we are so focused on exam results that we are willing to completely cut off developing minds that need the social interaction from the world. Because that's essentially what we're doing. We're cutting people off. We're cutting young minds off from the world in the name of an exam, which is nonsense. It is absolute nonsense, because how is it that we're creating a system that is essentially actually imprisonment? Because that's what it is. In the name of passing an exam, how is it? Let me dial it back. There's a once upon a time, I don't remember where the article is. I think it was by Owa, or a thread by Owa. If it's not, please correct me. Where he talked about, or the person talked about, how the school system and the education system, as it largely stands today, is something that was designed to make sure that, so say boarding school, for instance, you take someone out of quote unquote the village and put them in this place where you can mold them into what you want them to be. And at that point in the colonial system, you want them to be compliant workers that will fit into and feed into your system, into the capitalist system. So that's what the initial boarding school thought and design was all about. Remove someone, isolate them, train them into what you want them to be, and then plug them into the system. And the cycle continues again and again and again. And it's something that we have perpetuated to this day. And it reeks of it in this directive, reeks of it properly, that we are cutting off people from seeing their parents just because we don't want them to quote unquote cheat in an exam. Yet an alternative way of doing it is to actually develop a system that molds an all-rounded mind. So we are focusing on the wrong thing. Don't focus on the not cheating. Focusing on giving these people different outlets to express their own unique points of genius. Not everyone is supposed to be drilled down into physics, biology, math, and whichever way that the system is currently designed. There are people who are better with their hands, there are people who are better with expression, there are people who are better with all these different things. Let's create a system that actually allows people to express themselves. That's problem number one. Problem number two is, in essence, what this is emotional abuse. Let me explain. The whole, or rather a key part of what emotional and psychological abuse entails is isolation. An abuser will isolate you from different aspects of your life. I'll give an example. If you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, your other, whether it's a man or a woman, will constantly keep telling you how you need to cut off your friends or this relationship or that relationship, and over time it'll become such that they are the only person you can depend upon in their life. That is part of the essence of what emotional and psychological abuse is. Now, bringing it back to this particular scenario, this particular situation, we are essentially telling students that the only people you can't depend on the people outside of who we approve of as quote unquote government. So when you talk about visiting day, which is the one time when a lot of students are actually looking for, and think about it for your own life, when you are in a boarding school, if you're in boarding school, the one thing that would keep people moving from one month to the next was the first Sunday of the month, when it was visiting day, when you would get those chapatis from home, when you get those mandazis from home, and that itself keeps you going for yet another month until you're fortunate enough to be visited again. Those are for those of us who were visited. And that connection with the outside world gives you a sense of sanity and stability. In this case, we're telling them, before this quote-unquote defining moment in their lives, no, you're not allowed to see the people that would offer you emotional support. If that is not abuse, tell me what it is. If that is not abuse, tell me what it is. It is classic markers of abuse. That isolation. And then we wonder when they come out of high school and people are not functional as adults. When you find people who are in relationships and they're also abusive, because that's what they're used to. You find people who, when they go into the professional world, they treat other people like crap, like people who are below them, because that's what the school system is designed to do. Again, disconnecting people from the normal world. Classic marker of abuse. So I go back to this. What are we focusing on? We are first of all telling students that KCSE is the instructive thing that you need to pass in your life. And because you need to pass it, and if you fail it, you're going to be a failure in life. Because you need to pass it, you cannot cheat. And because you're not good at this particular way in which you structured the system, then you're doomed to be a failure in life. That's number one. And then number two, that in this period of time, when it would be best to have as much emotional support as you could possibly have, this is when you can't see your parents. This is when you can't see your guardians. This is when you can't see the people that you love and the people that love you. What level of madness are we plugged into? What level of stupidity are we trying to embrace? In this day and age where studies show and different systems across the world show that we should be developing an all-round individual, we're going in the complete opposite direction. What is wrong with our policymakers? And what is wrong with us as a society that we are encouraging such policies? What's wrong with us?